Okay, so let's get started with the session. I hope you can see my screen. Yeah, I believe you can see the screen. Yeah, so we're getting started. So yes, so from last week we got this flow. I'm trying to expand on it by providing more context so that we can speed up the session. Um, so we got this flow from last week from basically the ideation and then the basically the ideation. From the ideation stage we're able to develop the features that we would want to include to make our problem, the problem that we've identified, solved basically. So this is the flow that we have. We'll go through it again so like people like basically as a refresher. So to start with, so like every application has a splash screen. So when you want to when you're designing the application, you want to start, you basically you're covering everything that's would be built in the application. So you want to make provisions for like splash screens, the onboarding process, everything like that. So we just say splash screen. That would include like the all the introduction to the application, all of that. So that would be included over here. Okay, that would be included over here. Then the authentication. So over authentication is basically a decision where there are returning users and then there are new users. So for a returning user, they can jump straight into home. That's if they enter their um, if everything goes well, they can jump right into home. But in the situation where it's a returning user, then the returning user can go to forgot password, and then the forgot password would lead to wait, this is supposed to connect here. My bad. So where the forgot password will lead to home eventually. So let's just connect that now. Again, this is an iterative process. It might change depending on new context that you arrive at. Always keep in mind that when you are designing something, and nothing is concrete. It will change. Even Google Meet, not Google Meet, Google as a company, they change their design as like that is what design is basically. When new situations come, you need to adapt to the situations. New context might come up, new information might come up, and then you need to make adjustments to suit those situations. And then it's always easy to improve on something than to build something completely new and get it correct the first time. It's always easier to improve. So if you look at Google Mail interface, for instance, that is Gmail. If you've used computers for a pretty long time, you know the interface has come like a very long, like there's been a transition. And then even if you look at older mobile websites, or when you used to use those Symbian devices. If you don't know Symbian is, those are basically devices that came before we had this Android and we are well before we had this whole boom of Android and iOS. We used to have Symbian devices. So Sony Ericsson, Nokia, those devices used to run on an OS called Symbian, and then basically the websites on those look significantly different from the websites that we have now because of the medium in which we explore those the medium in which we explore those websites. And so what I'm driving at basically is design is not concrete, it changes. And so the process in designing actually is also not complete, it changes. So you need to have that in mind, right? So basically that was just by the way. So moving on, in a sign-in situation, you can forget your password, and when you forget your password, you'd have to reset the password. This should actually lead to account validation. Yes, so you account validate, and then you once you forgot your password, you reset your password. No, let's just create an entirely new like password resets. Let's call this password resets. And please, if you're not sure what is going on, please draw my attention, and then I'll try to explain it. Okay. So password resets. If this is successful, then if this is successful, then you can go home. If it isn't successful, then you'd have to how you call it? make sure that password is reset basically. So yeah, that is for the password reset flow. And then if your person is a new user, then you want to sign the person on. Now on the sign up, we would want to collect certain information. So like that's what these things are basically. So we want to collect certain information like the person's email address, and then you always want to make your sign up simple. So email address. So you can do email address or phone number. That's depending on the authentication, whatever means of authentication you want to use. So email address or phone number. And the next thing you can collect is a password. And then you're good. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Should we include first name and last name? Yeah, we can do that. First name and last name. Yeah. So that is what you're collecting in the moment. That might change again. Again, you should know that nothing is set in stone over here. Things might change. So for account validation, because you're doing email and password, dependent on what the person inputs over here. So if the person inputs email over here, then you need to do email validation to make sure the person is the person they say they are. Email validation. If the person is a mobile person, then you do OTP validation. Okay. So you do OTP validation over here for each situation. And then once that is successful, then the person can begin to set up their invoice account. So from the ideation that we did, we realized that the best way to make sure the system is able to track all the payments. Again, let me go back to the problem statement. So if you missed it, you have a refresher of what the problem statement is. It says Kofi is a small business owner who needs a system to track and remind clients of impending debt payments, debt payment deadlines, because clients sometimes forget to make payments on time. All right. So per the ideation that we did, and that was done over here with some members of the team. That was done over here. We got some of it. It wasn't a lengthy ideation brainstorming session again, so we couldn't explore a lot. But this were the ideas we got, and then from the ideas we got, we streamlined to this, and then these are the features we are building. So from the ideation, we realized that the best way to track all of that would be to have an invoicing system, and then once the invoicing system, then you can track the exact amount, and then who the money is, who is owing you, and then the date for the deadline. So we arrive at the solution of creating an invoicing app, right? So to set up the invoicing account, you need a first name and a last name. Then you need a business name, because business is what receives money. Then contact information, a business logo if you have one. Then the payment instruction, and then any special instruction. So payment instruction can include stuff like maybe bank account details, so the person can make payments into the bank account directly, bank account details. In Ghana, we have something called mobile money. So mobile money is basically you can register on your SIM card, and then using the SIM card's application, or what do you call that thing with the *125 kind of thing? What are those things called? I'm not sure what's their code. The short codes, or you can use. So for Africa, as mobile money is quite common in Africa, so we call it Momo. But let me just write mobile money. And then I think in Kenya, they have something like M-Pesa. So we'll just stick with this two, because M-Pesa basically works like mobile money, I believe. I'm not sure. So we would want to include stuff like payment instruction. That's the bank account details, or mobile money payments, mobile money details, and then any special instructions. So this would be like, maybe if your business requires that the person pays maybe 30% before you start working, like any instruction that you want to include. And then this will lead us to develop an invoice for the business. But like that would be something that the user does not see. So yeah, Now on the home page, based on the information that we've agreed on right now, that we've have right now, what do you think? I was doing this. I wanted to do it alone, and then to speed up the process, but I realized um, it would be best if we let um, like people on the call basically explore those ideas. And so, based on what we have and what we're trying to build, what information do you think would be relevant to show on the homepage? Okay, so let's run through the features that we want to include, and then we would basically arrive at what needs to be built on the homepage. Now, keep in mind, you guys will help me create that homepage, like create what needs to be built on the homepage, and then we would do the wireframes based on that. All right. So now from the home, we want to be able to toggle to invoices. So now when we go to invoices, we should be able to see invoice history, pending invoices, settled invoices, and then create a new invoice. Right now, on the home page again, that's the bottom navigation. So this basically is like places you can go from the homepage, and these are what I plan on putting at the bottom navigation. Again, nothing is set in stone. Then there's customers and customers or debtors, right? So you want to see all your customers and your debtors, right? So you can view new customers and debtors, and you can add new ones. Now reports. Now this report is basically your monthly reports and stuff like that, like how much money you've received in, how much money is out there, like basically like keeping up with stuff like that. Okay. So and then this will be your profile. This can also be a bottom navigation, but these ones will most likely be at the top of the page or something. All right. So now, based on what we have over here, what do we think should be included on the homepage? Please unmute yourself, and then like let's keep it interesting. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hello, guys. Okay. All right. Since nobody's saying anything, let me just run through it, and then. But again, you should know that when you're designing software, again, two heads are always better than one, and so when two people are working on it, one person might give an insight that the other person might not see, no matter what the experience level is. Two heads are always better than one. All right. So off the top of my head, I think we should have something like total revenue that shows on the homepage. Or basically, so let's just say this would be like a summary of what is in the report. So basically, the person should see how much money they've made in, how much money they have out there. So how much money people are owing, and then another thing could be let me see, closest debtor. Debt. How do you spell debt? Debtor. Closest debtor. What is the right word for this? Closest debtor. Deadline. Yes. All right. Then another thing could be. Let me see. Go on through. I was hoping we could do this together. What could go here? What could go on the homepage? Yeah. So basically, we could just have this, and then we would expand on that eventually as we continue to build the application. Basically. All right. So now settled invoices. Basically, all of this makes sense. Let's expand on reports a little bit. All right. So on reports, right? What should we include on reports? So this will be total. This could be like amounts paid. amount paid versus amount not paid, and the frequency of payments, what else can we include here? Reports. Again, I knew of an application, and then you should always do this. You should always try to fall back on the information that is out there. So I knew of this application called what was it even called? Wave. But I was trying to log into it, but I couldn't get access to it because they said it's no longer accessible from my current location. And so I'm just going. They said to use Zoho. So I'm going to create an account with Zoho and then see how they are processing DS. Basically, just to, because if the research has already been done, and then you find yourself doing this a lot of times. You find yourself doing this a lot of times where the research has already been done, and then you are what's the right? Okay. Yeah. So you basically want to use the data that they already have. You just want to use that, right? So the research that they've done, you want to fall back onto that because you might not have the opportunity to do the research. Again, these people usually have a lot more funding than if you're working like maybe a freelance gig, and so you find yourself falling back onto research that has already been done, just to make sure that like what you're doing is in line, because you will not get the opportunity to do the research that they have done. And then they've already done the research, so why stress, right? All right, so save. So again, over here we are seeing something that's very interesting. So currency, right? So what we want to do is add currency to so like set base currency. And then this is not copying. This is just basically once the research has been done, you just fall back onto it. Google Forms, not Google Forms. You realize like other applications look like other applications. Like in recent times, look at Instagram Reels. So the Instagram Reels, they basically copied TikTok. The same thing for what's the name of that? Snapchat. Snapchat also has this stories thing, and then it's basically like both of them is like they are clones of TikTok. Even YouTube has YouTube Shorts now, which is a clone of TikTok. So you see, like the tech space, people steal from other people, and then you shouldn't feel like you are a bad person for doing it. You should just go ahead and do it, because there's a principle in design. I think it's called the Gestalt principle. If somebody corrects me if I'm wrong, but it's basically not Gestalt. I don't think it's Gestalt. I've forgotten the name of the principle, but it says people use different platforms. So because they use different platforms and have learned how to use those different platforms, when you build your system, you should try to build your system so there's knowledge they've learned from those other platforms, they can reuse them on your platform. So you realize forms basically work the same across different companies. So if you take a company that is like rebellious, like Apple, they will always want to do something differently. They still have regular forms like every other company. So you realize everybody is using the same thing because you want to make the user not stressed, because the user has already learned how to use something a certain type of way, and so you don't want to create something entirely different. It will become difficult for the user to use. So that is just on this matter of like why you should steal from other designers, basically other products that have been built. So yeah. So basically now we've added the currency bits. I'm not sure whether I would want to add the time zone, but yeah, in a situation where we want to, we can add that. All right. So basically, so now this application. So now we are in the application. So it says show me around. Well, let's just let's go to the dashboard and see what's up. So okay, so now we are seeing current total receivables. Now we are seeing current and overdue. So that's basically what we have right here. So amount paid and then amount not paid basically, and then frequency of payment. So that would be like the cash flow. So yeah, we would want to increase something. So let's just change this to, we'll call it cash flow basically. What else? The top expense. Okay, so we can, let's see what is our report. Okay, so yeah, we can have profit and loss. Yeah, what else can we have? Yeah, we can have a balance sheet. Yeah. My balance sheet basically is something that you would derive from a profit. Basically, a balance sheet would lead to profit and loss. So, yeah. All right. So these are reports. This is for the report section. What else should we include? I think we can start with the wireframing, and then eventually we would expand on it as we build basically. So let me create a new page and then call that wireframing. All right. So again, so this is where we actually start to use the design tools over here. We've not explored any of the design tools over here, so let's just get into it. All right. So if you're not familiar with Figma, let me just walk you through what each tool does over here. So this is the move tool. The move tool basically, once you see it, allows you to select stuff and then move them around. So you just click and then move them around. Under the move tool, there's scale. And then scale is you can use scale by pressing K on the keyboard. The shortcut for scale is K. So with the scale to basically, if say I was to add a text over here, and say maybe XID, right? And then say let me increase this, and then I want to increase the size of this. But if I use the regular move tool, it will just do this. It will just increase the how you call it, the text area, right? But if I change to scale, that's K, by pressing K, it basically is like it's scaling everything. So if you know what scaling is, it's basically multiplying whatever you do by a scale factor, and then it's expanding it, right? So that is what the scale tool is. It's very useful. A lot of people tend to miss it, but it's very useful. So let me give you a practical use case. Yeah, so say let me just drop this over here. Practical use case, right? If you dropped this over here and you wanted to reduce this with the regular move tool, once you try to shrink this, it would behave weird, right? It would behave weird, but let's undo that. But if we press K and then the move tool, you should realize you can scale this, and then it's maintaining everything, it's reducing everything with the scale, right? It took me a long time to figure this out. Actually, I didn't know there was something that called scale. So yeah, that is what the scale tool does. That is basically what these two things do. This is to move stuff, and this is to scale stuff. Now the next tool is the frame tool. So the frame is basically, if you are from the graphic design world, the frame is basically the artboard. If you're not sure what that is, as the name implies, is the frame. So all your designs need to be held in something, because over here, so the frame is basically the artboard, like I mentioned, and then it's basically like, so right now the frame we selected over here. So if we come here, we can select phone, and then on the phone, when you select iPhone 13, that means what we will be designing would be for iPhone 13, and then in our prototype, only stuff that are in a frame would appear. If something is outside the frame, it won't count. So that is what a frame is basically. A frame is basically the tool for like basically creating your artboards, and then you can select different types of frame from here. So these are phones, these are tablets, desktops, presentation, watches, paper, and the social media Figma community stuff like that. All right, so that is the frame tool. There's a tool under here, slice. I have no idea what it does. I've never used it before, so I'm not even going to talk about it. If you know what it does, maybe mention it in the comments, but I'm not sure what it does. Yeah. So the next one I would point out is the the shapes tools. So over here, like the name implies, so this is a rectangle and you can draw a rectangle. You know this is a rectangle and the square is a rectangle. So this is the rectangle tool. That's about it. Next one, and the shortcut for that is R. The next tool is line. So with the line tool, you can draw a line in any direction, but once you hold shift, it would either go 45 degrees, 90 degrees, or 0 degrees, right? Well, that's if you hold shift. But if you leave shift, then you have the freedom to go whatever you want to go. So again, if I hold shift and then I'm close, oh my bad. So again, if I'm close to the straight line, that's the horizon, the horizontal line, and I hold shift, 0 degrees, you can see the degrees over here, right? So that's 0 degrees. Now if I am around this point and I hold, I'll go 45 degrees. Now when I transcend the 45, then I go 90. So it's basically increasing by 45, 45, 45. Now it's going 135, 180, 135 minus 135, minus 90, minus 45, and then 0. So that is the line tool. The next one is the arrow tool. So the arrow tool, just like the line tool, but it has an arrow at the end of it. You can make adjustments over here. You can change the arrowhead, and then you can even do this in a line with the line tool as well. So that's the arrow tool. Ellipses basically allows you to draw circles and then different type of circles. So yeah, if you hold shift, then you get you can make sure it's a perfect circle and it's growing, like both sides are the same basically. So is there something like an equilateral circle? I'm not sure. But yeah, that's a circle. You hold shift to draw a perfect circle. The next tool is a polygon. So with a polygon, when you draw it, the base polygon is a triangle. Now if you come here and then you increase, then you're increasing the number of shapes, and then you're getting different polygons basically. So yeah, so now this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, so like that. That's the polygon tool. The next one is star. Let me increase the with a star tool, basically star, and then as a basic star, I think this is a 5-point star. So yeah, this is a 5-point star, and then you can increase the points basically. So the more you go up by pressing up, the up arrow, you basically increasing it. All right, that's simple star. Yeah, that is about the star tool. Let me see what else is here. This is the place image tool. I don't use that. I just draw a rectangle and then add an image into it. But if you want to see how it works, you basically press it and then you can select an image from your computer. I almost never take image locally, so I don't know. I don't even use that. The pen tool. So if you've used Illustrator or Photoshop before, you know how to use this. This tool, I advise you watch a video on how to use it. I cannot expand on that over here. I'm just walking you through how each individual tool works. So under the pen tool, there's the pencil tool, which basically works like a pencil. Basically works like a pencil. Basically works like a pencil. This is the curvature tool, right? So you can use to add curvature to the points that you've dropped, right? So you can only access these tools when you are in the pen tool, right? So once you select the pen tool, then this one, once you've drawn, you've entered the pen tool. So like right now, if I select this, nothing happens. But when I hit enter, then I enter the pen tool mode, and then I can make these adjustments. This is the fill bucket tool. So once I press that, then I can add a color. Trying to get yeah. So this is the paint bucket tool. So the fill, and then I can just select the color, and then the fill select the color. Yeah, that's about the tools over here. That's what's under the pen tool. All right. The next one is a text tool. What it does, it draws a text area. So when you enter, you can enter your text over here like so. What maybe something you might want to know is how to control this side. So when you press this is auto width. It will automatically increase the width according to the length of the text basically. Now when you select this is auto height. So the width will be locked, but the height will be increasing on its own. That's according to the number of text you input there. And then this one is fixed. So when it's fixed, when you start typing, the text would start overflowing, but the outlining box, the text area itself, will be here, right? That is the width fixed tool. Now they added a new in the new update. They added something called this one, truncate text. So when you click truncate text, it truncates the text and adds 3 dots, right? So that is the new thing, the new feature they added, but you need to press this to access that. All right, so that is that. And then this is basically where does your text align? Does it align to the bottom? Does it align to the middle? Does it align to the top? Once we start going into it, I will use it and then you'll understand how that works. All right, so that's the text tool. This is the hand tool. I almost never use this. I think you would also not use it. You just zoom out and zoom in into where you want to go to. Unless, again, I don't know, unless maybe you use it. And the only time, I always zoom out, zoom in, like zoom out of where I'm at and zoom into where I want to go to. Now the next one is comments. So with comments, you can just tap here, then maybe add someone. So these are the people I've worked with in the past. So I can add somebody and be like, okay, maybe add A4. Select here, just like how it works on WhatsApp, every other application that uses the add thing, and then like check this out. Check this out. Once I hit check this out and I hit submit, it sends it sends an email to A4 telling her that somebody left a comment for her, so she should check it out. Yeah, and that is about the tools over here for Figma. So with that in mind, now let's get into working on the wireframes. All right, so let me just delete all of these and then let's get started. Let's jump into it. All right, so on the wireframing, I have this wireframe pack that I use. I found it in the Figma community. It saves you a lot of time, so I think this is it. Yeah, so we'll use the components from this to create a wireframe so we can like speed up real quickly. So for majority of applications, when you open the application, you want the user to know that the reason why we add a splash screen is for the application to load, and then for the user to know that, okay, this is the application they are entering into. That is why the splash screen exists. So not so the user knows that, okay, I clicked this app and I'm entering this app. So that is the importance of the splash screen. And then the other thing is to basically hide the loading of the application. So we want to find an image. Yes. So this represents an image, and then we just throw this in here, and yeah, there's that. Or better still, let me just create a new page over here and call it assets. Now what we will do is we'll copy all of this and then come and paste that in assets over here. Again, I'll give you access to this folder, so this file, so you can get access to it, and then you can that means automatically you've gotten access to this. You can just copy this and use them in your projects. All right, so under asset, now we've added this as assets for this, and all of these are components, so we can just call on this. So let's just delete this, and then we can just come here and type image, and then automatically it pops over here. Oh no, you're not supposed to click on it. So how does this work? This works like this. So because we type images, you just drag out when you click on it, it will take you to the mother component. So you don't want to click on it. You just drag out and then you center it basically. Now we would want to add maybe application name. Alright, so now we want to reduce the font size. Wow. Application name, and then we would center this and then we'll center that. Alright, so now we have the application name. So this is basically, this stands in for what the splash screen looks like basically. And then we would duplicate this to the next screen. So now the next thing is we want to have something like the onboarding process, like how do you introduce the person to the application. So again, we just take an image over here. Again, we've not done any design exploration to see the direction in which we want to head in. We don't even have a mood board yet, but we just want to capture everything that's basically we want to see where everything would fit and how it fits into the application basically. All right, so now we have we have this, and then we want to include like some descriptive text, right? So let's just use Lorem Ipsum. There's a plugin. I use plugins a lot, so you can add this plugin, auto generate. So we'll just do that, and then we'll just say regular, and then this point size 16. Expand this a little bit, and then delete some of this. All right, now align center, and then so maybe increase the font size. Again, I'm personally going a little bit overboard, but yeah, there's this, and then we might want to add a button. So let's just come here and then pick a button. All right, and then expand this a little bit. Yeah, and then if this, in the situation where there are multiple versions of this, maybe we want to put a skip button here. Now the reason why we are putting this over here is maybe we do not want people to skip. If we want people to skip, we want to make the whole skipping of this process simple, then we want to bring this button down. So the reason why this is here is it has something to do with like the principles of design. Again, let me just show you that. So, like, I would advise, if you want to be good at like the interface principles of design. Wait, are they principles of design? I hope they are called principles of design. No, they are not called principles of design. What are they called? What's the? Let me just Google just start principle. Alright. What do you call this? What do you call this? Can someone if you know what exactly I'm looking for, the name is escaping me. If you know exactly like what category of stuff does just start principle fall under, there's a name for all of them. That's what I'm trying to find. Come again? Yes, lots of UX. Thank you for that. So there's a website. Yes, I'm trying to find the website so I can share the link. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do before it escapes me. So just find out there here. So lots of UX. Once you go through this, you get a sense of the direction in which like how to basically get the user interface correct, and then maybe getting into understanding how the people are interacting with the application gives you that context. All right. So just that. So there's a principle that talks about a thumb, and then like things primary actions being at the bottom of the screen and secondary actions being at the top part of the screen. All right, so yeah, that was it, by the way. So we want to, now we have basically this. So this will be the first one, and then on the second one, usually you'd want to make provisions for someone going back, right? So this will be next, and then this will be back. Again, wireframes, some people like to do it very detailed. I'm part of the people who like to do detailed wireframing, but for the sake of the course, I'm just doing it rough, so we can speed through it basically. All right, so this basically gives you the opportunity to go back to the previous one. So this would be the first one, and then these would be like the one giving you the opportunity to go back basically. And then from so we'll fall back onto here. So now we want to have the authentication screen that decides whether we are signing in or signing out. All right, so signing in or signing up, I mean, sorry, my bad. So over here, so we can be like welcome or something. I don't know. Welcome to app name. Again, we've not figured out the name for our application yet, so these can be like a little bit of text. Again, you don't want to use too much text in your application because people don't like to read. Yeah, so and then we can have this, that, and then align these in the middle, and yeah, maybe we want to close this up a little bit, and then have this like so. Right. These can come here a little bit. Again, this is just trying to get the application to work, like basically seeing where things go, and then once you're comfortable, then you can start to make details. So it doesn't matter whether this looks good or not. All right, so sign in. Sign in, then sign up. Oh, yeah. So now they can't be a skip here. All right. So now we can get rid of that and that, and then yeah, over here we can start saying stuff like, okay, so now there's a new way in which authentication works, where they actually don't even do sign in and sign up, where they just be like continue with whatever account you have, and then once you continue, there's that. But let's just stick with the sign in and sign up, so just not to confuse stuff. All right, so we would now, if the person clicks sign in, we want to give the person the option to choose whether basically we want to give the person a sign in, and then we'll be like so that we can be continue with Google or something. Continue with Google, continue with Apple, continue with Facebook. And then so the number of social media authentications you want to have, let's just add another one. Let's just add Apple, and then we like continue with Apple. Let me make that caps. Yeah. Now you should always make provisions that even though this is the more common route, you should always make provisions for the situation where somebody chooses not to use any of those, and then you can be like continue with email. All right, so usually just be like or. Okay, so now off the top of my head, let me just, this thing is not online properly, and yeah, it's messing up with my OCD. All right. So again, this is just spitballing, like figuring out what works best. So now let's just do these and then switch this. Now the reason why we are switching is Again, if you've gone through the laws of UX, you know that things at the bottom of the screen are easier to reach. So the more common action is what you put at the bottom of the screen. You want to satisfy a larger majority of the people, because yes, somebody might want to use email, but the number of people who actually sign into mobile applications using email are significantly lower than the people who use social media authentication or use like Google authentication or Apple or Facebook. So you want to put that at the bottom so it's easier for those people to reach those buttons basically. All right, so that is why we've put the continue with email at the top, because there are lesser people who use continue with email. Now, with these options, automatically the application takes you out. This authentication is done out of the application, and so you do not control that design feature. Now, if the person clicked continue with mail, then you would need to make the provisions for that, right? So now you'd want to increase the size of this. Take this a bit higher, and then like input field. All right. I'm trying to find text too. Yeah. All right. So now just stretch this out a little bit. All right. So text field here. So this can be email address. And we would want to open this up a little bit, and then the next, so let's just change this to email address, then enter a password. Enter a password. Now, depending on the UX, some people choose to do confirm password, some people choose not to. Let's just add it. Confirm the password. Yeah, there's that. Now, there are certain nitty-gritties that go into this, but would jump on those later. So let's just make this lecture. All right. So sign up. So for our sign up over here, I think let me see. What details do we leave? So we will just take an email, phone number, and password. Yeah, so we added first name and last name, so we can add that. But the thing is, you always want to make your onboarding process as short as possible. You want to make it succinct. So let's just ignore first name and last name. All right. So yeah, there's this, and then let's create for sign up as well. All right. So oh wait, this is supposed to be sign up, but yeah, this is supposed to be. Yeah, this can be sign in. Let's just put this over here. Okay. So oh shit. Wait, am I confusing myself? Yeah, let's this should be signing. All right. So yeah, going on. So this is the sign-in flow. Sign up, right? What does sign up look like? So on sign up, we want to have the same options, and then so for sign in, there won't be a confirm password, but what would be here would be forgot password instead. And please mind you can do this on paper. Like if you do it on paper, it's actually the fastest means. Forgot password, and then you can maybe adjust this to the left or some. Yeah, and then okay, so that means let's complete this flow over here. So forgot password, then you be like forgot password, then you will enter email address, and then submit password let's just do something. All right. So this would most likely send an email to your email account. So you need to go and check from your email account, and then you click a link to reset the password, right? So now over here, if the person forgot password, then the person will be like, enter new password. All right. And then you'd want to duplicate that, and then confirm new password. Yeah. Now confirm new password. Yeah. Okay. So now we are done with this flow right here. So now sign up. All right. So sign up. We give a little bit of introduction, and then the sign-in options, and then sign up, enter email address, password, confirm password. Now, what we want to, let's just make this look cleaner. So let's leave spacing. What's this? 200. Yeah. Yep. All right. Let me put this over here. Yeah. All right. So now, sign up, right? Once the person signs up, what next? Now, what we want to do is let's put this here instead. All right. Wow, time is fast gone. Let's just work on the introduction to the how do they set up their accounts basically. Now, from here we have wait, we didn't do account validation for that. All right. Okay, so let's do account validation for sign up. All right, so verify your account. Verify your account. Some details will go over here, and then some text like we sent an email to XID gmail.com and verify account. So in the situation over there, it could be a code that was sent to you. Like continue. So it could be a code, and then we ask you. This should just be lorem ipsum. So we are not. We'll expand on what that text is in more detail. So let's just delete that. Most likely, if it's a shortcode, then just again, if you want to do the repeated stuff, once you copy something, so once you like, let me just delete all of it. Once you control, you copy this, that's using Alt and then dragging. You can just press Control D repeatedly to duplicate the last action you performed. So yeah, let me just group that and then put that in the center, and then there's that, and then we want to put something like resend code. All right. So this would work for account validation. Yeah, let's do this 200. So now the last thing we want to work on before we end today's session is setting up the invoice account. So let's just let's put titles on these things. So this will be onboarding process. Increase this, bold in it, and then make this that. And maybe this one too. All right. So let's just maybe let's do that. Just to label it, and this will be signing up. Signing up. Signing in. And this will be signing up. Then this should be setting up invoice account. Setting up, yeah, invoicing account. All right, so let's just do the last bit, and then we'll continue next week. So so the first and last name. All right, so we already have the components here. All right, so so let's just pull that. Let's just pull these. So set up your invoice account. So first and last name. First name. Last name. Yeah. What's the business name? All right. So business name. Business name. What else is there? Payment instructions. Let's set these currency. Special instruction. Then upload your logo. All right. So yeah, it's 7:00, 7:04 now, and it's been like I think it's like 1 minute till exactly an hour. So we would end today's session over here and then continue next week. Again, this section would change drastically because it's not best to collect user data like this. It's been found that it's better to collect data based on clustering them. So like you can collect first name and last name together, then you can collect maybe business name and then maybe business logo together, and basically segregating the data in call it the data collection like that, so it makes sense to the user that way. So we'll break this down into further details later, next week basically. So let's end over here. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and throw them at me. Else we would end the session and then continue from next week. So if there are no questions, let me drop the link to the YouTube. Yeah. So this is the link to the YouTube, right? So if you've missed it, you can watch it and then you can share it to people who could not join us. Let me share the link to the file as well. So this is the link to the file that we are using. It has the slides from all the previous sessions as well. So they are all basically labeled, right? So the design thinking, process sympathizing. It has all the files like that. You can access all of it, and then I think I didn't share. I've not yet uploaded the video for last week's session. I would upload that like right after this, and then edit this today's session, and then upload that as well. So yeah, if there are no questions, then we'll call it an end. We'll call it an end for today. All right. Thank you guys for joining.